with me today, man. He's helping me out in the producing spot. Zach, how are you doing, man? How did you feel about being my producer yesterday, man? Day one with you and me yesterday.
You're a pain in the butt. No, I'm kidding. Um, no, it was good. We talked about a lot, and some stuff happened last night and this morning that we are going to be touching on today, which will be great because you and I were texting last night. It's like we can't figure out what to talk about,
Yeah, I
and
was.
then all this stuff drops. We gotta love sports media, man. Like,
Oh, we got a ton to talk about today, man.
yep.
Yesterday, I hit a writer's wall. I hit that wall about 10 o'clock after about a beer in me. I was like, man, I can't figure out what I want to talk about later on today. We're gonna have the second hour of the show on ESPN The Fan 103.9 98.3. So tune in to 1 p.m. through 2 p.m. before the Cougar Sports with Ben Criddle, and we'll talk about some more then. But after coming up after us will be the Sean O'Connell Show. Going to give you the best of what's going on around Utah sports. But we're going to give you some national sports here on the Down and Dirty this morning. Again, I'm Martin Kelly. Scott is on vacation with his wife across the pond. They're in France. He'll be back on Monday. We'll talk more about some live sports and all of that stuff to go with it, as Scott usually does. We'll have some guests next week. We'll try to give you the best of what we can. But today, Zach, let's talk about some things here in the NBA. Let's start with that. We're going to talk about the NBA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets his contract, Supermax contract, 4 years, $285 million, after not only winning the league MVP, the Western Conference Finals MVP, the NBA Finals MVP, and the NBA Finals. He gets $285 million from the Oklahoma City Thunder to stick around for 4 more years. He also has Jalen Williams, who's going to stick around for 3 more years. And, of course, they're going to work on a contract with Chet Holmgren probably at the end of next year to keep him around for about another 4 or 5 years. So the core of what the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to be with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, with Chet Holmgren going into the future for the next 4 to 5 years, their window is now, and I think the Thunder are going to capitalize on it as much as they can. We know their front office is very smart with how they trade. They obviously have a boatload of for first-round picks they can trade at any time they want for any more superstars. Who knows what they'll do at the trade deadline next season and to add to that team. And, of course, Lou Dort, one of their best, 3-and-D guys, is going to be looking for a contract extension, so he might still be sticking around as well. That's one thing we're going to touch on. Another thing we're going to be touching on here in a minute, we're going to touch on the WNBA. They're going to be expanding the league. We didn't get to this yesterday. They got 3 new cities they're going to touch on. Plus, Caitlin Clark, where does she finish amongst the player voting when it comes to the WNBA All-Star? We're going to be talking about that. 2 things we missed yesterday. Plus, we're going to talk about the NFL. Is TJ Watt going to get traded? Is Minka Fitzpatrick the link that sets off the Pittsburgh Steelers and trading off all their young star players to try to get old and try to win now? Plus, is Rodney Harrison a Hall of Famer? Well, we're going to talk about that in the second segment. Then the third segment, I put together a list. Listen, we talked about the quarter century team that ESPN put together, and they put a list together of their best DBs that they thought should be there. And I say, you know what? Let's talk about some other guys that should have been on that list maybe. What is the top 10 list of the best DBs from the 2000s and 2010s? We're going to talk about that. Again, let's talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, top of the hour here, NBA talk. He gets his contract, again, 4 years, $285 million. As I mentioned, NBA title, NBA Finals MVP, Western Conference Finals MVP, the league MVP. He went 4 for 4 on the major trophies you have to win in this league, okay? But does that make him the face of the league? No, not exactly. Listen, I love the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm a fan of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and people are going to go, wait a minute, aren't you a Chicago Bulls fan? You're from Chicago, aren't you? I am, and I tell everybody this story. I watched the baby Oklahoma City Thunder when they still had Harden, when they still had Durant, when they had Westbrook, when they had Serge Ibaka, Nick Collison, that 5 core. They beat my Chicago Bulls. They had Derrick Rose. They had Luol Deng. They had Joakim Noah. They had Mike Dunleavy. They had Tom Thibodeau. They beat them 97-79 on some random in the middle of February, March, Sunday afternoon. I watched my favorite team lose to this baby team. I'm going, who are the Oklahoma City Thunder and who's Kevin Durant? And all of a sudden, Kevin Durant became one of my favorite players to watch, right next to Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose will always still be my number one. I miss D Rose so much. I wish he would have just won something. Besides that MVP, I wish it would have been a trophy. I wish he could have hoisted an NBA Finals trophy in the United Center, but it is what it is. But back to SGA with this. Is he the league? Is he the face of the league? No. I believe right now, if you had to ask me who's a young star, who's the face of the league, is Anthony Edwards in Minnesota. There's no question in my mind is Anthony Edwards. Yes, Nikola Jokic with his MVPs and his title. Yes, with Giannis and his title and his MVP as well. Ja Morant, we all know how great he is. Jalen Brunson in New York, we know how amazing he is. Devin Booker down in Phoenix. But out of all of those players, it is still, to me, Anthony Edwards will be the one that gets the mantle passed down from him when LeBron James has said, enough is enough. I'm done playing basketball. Anthony Edwards, you take over this league, and I still 100% believe that is the case. But to SGA, does he have a chance to disrupt that right now? Yes, he does. Because right now he has the title over Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards defeated Kevin Durant and LeBron James in back-to-back years in the playoffs. That is a serious thing to add to your resume, to say, I not only took down one, but I took down two of the top 10 players in this league. And on top of that, even though Steph Curry was hurt, he took down the Golden State Warriors. So he took down three of the GOATs that we consider in this sport at the moment. And he did that all in 2 years. You got to give Anthony Edwards credit for that. But again, does SGA have a chance to rain on that parade? Does he have a chance to put it in the sense that he also deserves to be in that conversation? Yes, he does. And he got $285 million for it for 4 years. That will take him until he's about 30 years old with Oklahoma City. At that point, who knows if they'll decide to keep him or they decide to rebuild. But you got to give Oklahoma City this credit as I wrap this point up. They know what they're doing, all right? That rebuild from 2018 and on to 2025, it took them 7 years. 7 years to go from the very worst team in the NBA to the very best team in the NBA. That is an absolute turnaround of any team I've seen in a long time. It is smart. It is efficient. It's consistent. You go down, you build your team back up, you slowly but surely believe in the young guys, you give them some stars around them, you give them some role players around them, boom, they're going to blossom. Absolutely smart by the Oklahoma City Thunder to get this wrapped up. $285 million is getting added to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's bank account, and let me tell you, he deserves every penny.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and we all saw this coming at this point. I mean, Shai winning MVP, winning Finals MVP, winning the Finals. I think he becomes the fourth player to do that with Shaq and LeBron and someone else. I'm forgetting one player, but I apologize. But it's definitely a thing that we saw coming as well.
I bet you it's Kawhi Leonard because I think he won Eastern Conference Finals MVP. No, actually, let me take that back. I bet you it would be Michael Jordan if they had those Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I bet you he would have done that too. There's something else you can add to the list of what Michael Jordan did that LeBron James didn't. He won all four of those. Anyway, let's touch on this, Zach. Let's talk about the WNBA. They are expanding. We didn't get to this yesterday. They're expanding to 3 new cities. They're expanding to Cleveland, to Detroit, and to Philadelphia. Philadelphia will get its very first WNBA team ever in its city's history. That's really cool. Cleveland, Detroit, they're getting some teams back. Cleveland was part of the original WNBA. Unfortunately, they had to fold. Same thing with Detroit. I catch my breath. I apologize. They were part of the 1998 expansion, and they came in after that, and obviously they folded as well. But it's good to get 2 new cities and another city, as I said, 2 new cities, 3 new cities into the WNBA, especially around the Great Lakes right there. You have Chicago now, you have Indiana, you have Cleveland, and you have Detroit. You have your own little central division around the Great Lakes. All we're missing is Milwaukee. We'll see what if the WNBA wants to expand there. The Bucks are respectable in Wisconsin. They do know how to back up that team. You know, you never know. You just never know. We'll see what happens with Milwaukee trying to get a WNBA team. I love the addition when it goes to Philadelphia. Now you have Connecticut, now you have New York, and now you have Philadelphia. Again, you're starting your own little Eastern Conference division on that side. Now you're starting to develop even better and more rivalries. Now you're starting to get that feel of a real league. You know, yes, The WNBA has been through this, all right? They've added teams, they've subtracted teams. That's just how leagues go. But in this new era of WNBA, I believe this will work, all right? There is enough support behind the league, and there's now new money coming into the league that I believe this will be established. And I think it can be established in the sense that right now, the WNBA is just shy of 16 teams. Who knows? Maybe, just maybe, they'll expand into Florida, Miami, Orlando. Who knows? They might get a second team down there. Who knows? You might be able to go to Texas a little bit more. You never know about that. You can go to the Midwest. Why not a team in Iowa? Why not a team in Kansas? Why not a team in St. Louis? All right. Some teams, some cities that have been neglected by the NBA could possibly see a WNBA team. And maybe if they got a WNBA team, maybe an NBA team can come behind that. Who knows? Especially a city like St. Louis. I think that's a basketball city that is not taken advantage of at all. The St. Louis can support an NBA team. They supported one back in the day when the ABA came out. They had a team down there, but obviously the ABA folded and that team folded. I still believe St. Louis deserves a team. As much as I do not like St. Louis, the Cardinals, or the Blues, or the Rams when they were down there, I'm from Chicago. We always do not like St. Louis. There are little baby brothers that's below us, but if they had a team, I would love to see that. I would love to see another rivalry added to that Central Division and see what happens with that. All right, let's also touch on this before I get Zach involved. Caitlin Clark. We didn't touch on this yesterday either. I want to touch on this so bad. Caitlin Clark got ranked 9th, not in total voting for the All-Star, but 9th amongst players. Okay, I looked at the list this morning. I'm like, you know what? Who is first amongst players? Who's the number one liked player in the WNBA? And it's Alyssa Gray. I was trying to remember her last name. She is ranked 1 when it comes to all-star voting this season by the players. She is really liked by the players. She played for Dallas before she got her new contract and plays for Atlanta now. But this says one thing about the players' perspective about Caitlin Clark. They don't like her. They don't like the fact that she's bigger than the league. And I agree with them. Caitlin Clark is bigger than this league. She's legitimately a WNBA star that should be playing in the NBA. She has range like NBA players, okay? She isn't just stepping behind the three-point line with one step. She's stepping behind that three-point line like Steph Curry, okay? I've seen Steph Curry break my heart as an Oklahoma State Thunder fan. I will still never, to this day, ever watch that half-court shot that he made on a random Saturday night to extend that game. And I watched the Oklahoma City Thunder lose in overtime to that Golden State Warriors team that they also blew a 3-1 lead to. I still can't get over that. I never will. But I love the fact that Caitlin is not liked by the players. Let the players hate her. Let the players try to bully her. Let the players try to punk her. Let them. Caitlin Clark is bigger than this league. She's bigger than every player in the league. She is the league, okay? Michael Jordan wasn't liked when he first got into the NBA. Go back and talk to all the players. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley. They didn't like Michael. They looked at that smile and said, how are we going to knock that smile off his face? How are we going to make him put that tongue back in his mouth? How are we going to make him not score 40 tonight? And that's the same mentality when it comes to the WNBA. They're trying to find ways to punk Caitlin Clark. Oh, whoa, she's 1 for 30 in her last 4 games from the three-point line. She's going through a slump. What player doesn't go through a slump? We've seen Steph Curry have bad shooting nights. Okay, I've seen Steph Curry go 5 for 22 at the three-point line. Okay, I've seen him struggle just to get to 15 points. Let them hate her, okay? She will prove them all wrong. She will win a WNBA title for Indiana. I can guarantee you that. When? I do not know. But she'll win a title for them, okay? The Indiana Fever were a team that won 2 to 3 games before they drafted Boston and Caitlin Clark, okay? And now they're a team of 8-8. They're in a potential wild card spot for the playoffs, and they're going to go upset someone next in these playoffs. I'm telling you, she will upset a team in the playoffs. And honestly, I think they can get to the conference finals. I really do. I think they're a team that's going to scare some team on the road, upset them, and get to the conference finals. Can she get to the finals? Who knows? We'll see, because it's so hard to complete a full entire season and then get ready for the playoffs and dominate in the playoffs. They're a whole different animal. Being good in the regular season versus being good in the playoffs are two different things. And again, back to this with her getting ranked ninth among the players. She's number one amongst the fans. She's number 5 in media, but she's ranked ninth among the players. The players don't like her. The players don't like her attitude. The players don't like the fact that she showboats. They don't like the fact that she's Steph Curry-like. They don't like the fact that she shows off. Okay, fine. I'll show you when I shoot 5 threes in a game and I'm up by 12 and you're trying to find a way to stop me. Okay, when she shoots 14 threes in a game, we're all going to look around going, man, she is the face of the league. She is the reason why I watch the WNBA, because that is all in true. I mean, seriously, her games average between 5 and 7 million people. The NBA wishes they had that every night. They wish they had 3-4 million people watching LeBron James. And some nights you might get that. You might get 10 million people to watch a LeBron James game on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday. But the WNBA is doing nothing legitimately to market her out of their own control, and she's getting 5 to 7 million people to watch her games. People are paying out of pocket to go watch her games. The Indiana are selling out their building. I mean, seriously, she is dominating this league. And so what? The players don't like her. She is reminding them why she's the best player in the game. Zach, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And Clark's been hurt for a couple of weeks, which is
she has.
Yeah, she has. But they do play in the Commissioner's Cup tonight for the championship. They play in Minnesota. Caitlin Clark is expected to return tonight, but saying her status is out, so I don't know if she's playing or not. But I definitely think that Caitlin Clark can lead the Fever to a championship. Right now they're 8-8 right now in the league. It's just a matter of those set pieces coming around Caitlin Clark and then going from there. But I do think the WNBA is growing a lot, in my opinion. We see like Caitlin Clark kind of when she got drafted to the Fever, she kind of lifted up the WNBA, and now you see players like Haley Van Lith, Paige Beckers, Cameron Brink, like all those players. I think it's Cameron Brink, right?
Yep, Cameron Brink.
Tripping? Okay.
Yeah, with the LA Spark. And
yeah.
Just wait until the player that I think could challenge Caitlin Clark. Here's a little notion for this one. Juju Watkins.
She
has
agree.
a full healthy knee. Juju Watkins, when she gets to the WNBA, she will be a challenge for Caitlin Clark. There's somebody that you could put up on a mantle and say, wait. We have another player that can challenge you for being a legit star in this league. Juju Watkins, when that ACL is healthy, when she takes the court in the WNBA, she is going to be a superstar. I'm telling you that.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. And another example I can give is like Sabrina Ionescu, who led the Liberty to a championship last year, right? Was it last year? Yeah. But they had set pieces like Brianna Stewart signed with the Liberty. That was a big key piece to that, and I think that's what needs to happen with the Fever and everything like that. So, yeah. And then the expansion-wise, like you just got Golden State, another team, the Valkyries.
Yep.
Which is great, but like where you can expand more into the East Coast, like you're saying, you could expand into like Utah, who's got the Utah Jazz here as well.
Yep.
So I think that's another possibility is that Utah gets a WNBA team here, which would be great. I think it would benefit the Jazz and the Mammoth to have more fanship just with all three of those programs.
There wasn't WNBA team here when the original 8 started with the WNBA. It was the Utah Stars. Obviously, again, they had to fold due to financial troubles and all that. But I agree with you. Ryan Smith, why not, man? WNBA team. The rumors of Utah Grizzlies possibly moving out of Utah, being sold. They put up a statement about a week ago saying they have to sell the team. Who knows? But I've been to the arena where the Utah Grizzlies play. I've watched a couple Utah Grizzlies games. That would be a perfect arena for a WNBA team here in Utah. Right. It's right off that 215 going that way on the Mavericks Center. It's not too far from downtown. It's about a 5 or 10 minute drive from downtown.
Yeah, I say like 10 minutes because if you're going on I-15 towards I-80 towards the airport, and then you get on 215, it's probably like a good 5-10 minutes after that. So probably like 15 minutes total, maybe.
Right next to the airport, no team has to struggle with getting through downtown Salt Lake, getting back to their hotel. Obviously, we have nice hotels at the at the airport for Salt Lake International. I've been through them. They are really, really nice. So it would be easy travel for any team to come here. I'm telling you, man, it would be very smart to add a team there. All right, let's touch on one more NBA thing we got to touch on this morning. It happened last night, but we're going to touch on it this morning. Michael Porter Jr. from the Denver Nuggets is traded to the Brooklyn Nets for Cam Johnson. He's going to Denver, and I love this move for Denver. This is the smartest move they made already offseason. They needed defensive help. They needed someone to hold down, lock down the 3 to 4 stars on the other team. Jokic is doing his thing, obviously, but they need that other player to disrupt the process and the system of other teams, aka Oklahoma City. They just were too much for Denver. They didn't have enough defense, and their offense just could not match with Oklahoma City in the playoffs. And that's why it went to 7 games. And unfortunately, it was a blowout in Game 7. It wasn't even close. And so adding a star in Cam Johnson, and yes, I said star. He's one of the best defensive players in this league right at the moment, okay? This is smart for Denver. You add a solid defensive player. You can play at 3. You can play at 4. He can help out Gordon on the defensive rotations. He can do a lot that Denver needs. He can rebound as well. He's perfect for Brooklyn. Adding Michael Porter Jr. just means him and Cam Thomas are going to have the highest volume amount of shots next season. I'm telling you right now, okay? I guarantee you, Brooklyn will have the highest volume amount of shots, whether it's 2s, 3s, or free throws. These guys are going to be attracting a whole lot of attention. People go off on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander saying he's a free throw merchant. He just looks for all the contact. He wants to get those 2 free throws. Have you seen Cam Thomas play? Have you seen Michael Porter Jr. play? They look for contact on every play. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. paid attention to James Harden and how he landed every single time off of his three-point shots. He's doing the exact same thing. Cam Thomas has had his moments in Brooklyn shooting 40 points, 50 points, 30 points. I mean, these two are going to go off every night. Will it lead to wins? Brooklyn is not ready to compete for a title, and they're just going to be a fun team to watch and see if they have 2 60-point nights from 2 players. Who knows? Maybe they could do that, but it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Brooklyn, but they're going to have the highest volume amount of shots. I don't know if it's just going to be 3s or 2s. It could be both, but they're going to be shooting a lot. They will have 50, 60 attempts. I guarantee you. They'll make Boston look like a amateur team at shooting basketball shots. And Boston is already up there on a high volume amount of shots in the league. And if Brooklyn can challenge that, man, bro, that's going to be fun to watch on some nights. Anywho, let's take a break. When we come back on the Down and Dirty, we're going to talk about the NFL news and notes. Is Rodney Harrison a Hall of Famer? Is TJ Watt going to get moved? And Max Crosby had something very interesting to say about his position. He may be thinking that he is the only one in the NFL to be this high up on a list. We're going to talk about all that and much more on the Down and Dirty right here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. That's the only answer I have. Cam Thomas and Porter, they're going to be shooting all night, every night. Okay, Cam Thomas. Is it Cam Johnson? Oh. Welcome back to the Down and Dirty, right here on ESPN 792.1 FM, part of the Utah ESPN Radio Network. I am Martin Kelly, filling in for Scott Mitchell as he's on vacation with his wife across the pond. They're in France right now. He'll be back Monday. I hope everybody is preparing for a very, very happy 4th of July weekend as it falls on a Friday. You couldn't ask for anything better than that. 4th of July falling on a Friday and then Saturday, then Sunday. 3-day weekend for everybody this weekend. Oh, yeah, the party will start Thursday, obviously, because everybody's going to get probably Thursday off, too. So 4 days to chill out, have fun, and celebrate the 4th of July. Zach, could you ask for anything better than that? 4 days off. 4th of July is on a Friday. Means you get to sleep in on a Saturday and enjoy Sunday before you got to go back to work on a Monday.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Thursday, I don't know if you and I are going to go live on Thursday or not, but it's definitely exciting. And obviously, 3-day weekend's great. For most people, I might be working my other job on Saturday. We'll see because we're open that day. But yeah, no, it's great. I love it.
4th of July weekend coming up here. Obviously, in the month of July as well, Pioneer Day will be coming up. So get your fireworks this month as they'll only be legitimately available this month. I can't wait to see what Pioneer Day brings as well. You can never be disappointed with the Pioneer Day's fireworks show or the 4th of July fireworks show in the state of Utah, especially with Salt Lake City. They do a very good job about that. The Days of 47 Rodeo is coming up this month as well. Also, let's talk about this. ESPN 700 is pleased to welcome Maroon 5 to the Delta Center this October 25th. Tickets are on sale now. For more information, go visit ESPN700sports.com. Check out more information on that. I was talking to Zach this morning as we were talking about it. Maroon 5, man, back in the mid-2000s, just an absolute standard fun rock and roll band before they figured out how to, auto-tune and get a little more high-pitched, and they turn a little poppy to me, but still a fun listen to. Maroon 5, again, coming to the Delta Center October 25th. What do you think, Zach? Is it worth to go get tickets to go see that show?
Growing up on Maroon 5, listening to them like on the radio when my mom was driving, it's definitely worth it, especially if they play like some of their classic songs like Move Like Jagger or like something like that. But yeah, I mean, maybe we should come back with a Maroon 5 song next segment. Right. I might do that.
Look up a good one there. All right, let's talk some NFL news and notes in this segment here. And let's start with this. TJ Watt out of the Pittsburgh Steelers is possibly getting rumored of being traded after yesterday. Jalen Ramsey was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers for Minkah Fitzpatrick and a 5th-round pick. Jono Smith was part of that deal as well, going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. This, to me, is really something that Pittsburgh should seriously pump the brakes on and come out and say, nope, we're not doing this. No. We're not trading the face of our defense away. We're keeping TJ Watt. Let's announce the breaking news that he has had a contract extension with the Pittsburgh Steelers, that he's staying a Pittsburgh Steeler. He's 30 years old. He's coming off, I think it was about 2 years ago, being the Defensive Player of the Year, a career number in sacks. And unfortunately, he's playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers are one of those most consistent, respected teams in the NFL. There's no knocking that off, okay? 5-time Super Bowl champions. They have done everything right. Only 3 coaches since the mid-'70s, Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, from Mike Tomlin, they do not change coaches at all. They stay with the consistency that has made them Super Bowl champions for a very long time in the NFL. But this whole notion of what TJ Watt is going through reminds me of a situation, Zach, and I was the beneficiary of this whole situation, which was Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack was in Oakland. He was the face of their defense. He got selected to the Pro Bowl to the same year in two different positions. The only player in NFL history to do that, to have that type of respect, to get called in to be a Pro Bowler at two positions in the same year. But what was the struggle for Khalil Mack in Oakland? Well, he was on a young team. Derek Carr, Amari Cooper, Khalil Mack. They didn't have all of the strong veterans around them. They didn't have the top level defense or offense. They were showing some signs in life of that. They were looking like they were on a team on the rise. They were looking like a potential playoff team back-to-back years. Obviously, they had that 1 year they did go to the playoffs, but unfortunately, Derek Carr broke his leg against Indianapolis, and they had to start Connor Cook against Houston, and they lost that wild card game, and they just could never get the momentum back after that. They obviously trade Amari Cooper, and then they trade Khalil Mack to Chicago, and that's kind of how it ended. Derek Carr was the last one standing, and unfortunately, we've seen what has happened to Derek Carr in New Orleans. He just isn't the same what he was 10 years ago. And so the reason why I bring that all up is because Khalil Mack was the defense. He was the face of that defense. He was the reason why they stayed in games. They were the reason why a lot of teams had to prepare for that. And the same thing with TJ Watt. He has been one of the most serious reasons why Pittsburgh has had a solid defense year in and year out, why they've stayed in games, why they've won games. Okay, obviously you had the help of Cam Hayward and Minkah Fitzpatrick, but Minkah is now going back to Miami. Cam Hayward, as much as I love him, he's getting up there in age. So you have TJ Watt left, and you don't have any solid linebackers behind him. You don't have any solid answers at corner besides Jalen Ramsey now, and now you have a hole as safety. And the whole notion that you're not going to pay TJ Watt to stick around because, well, we're not winning and it would take up room on the cap and we need some flexibility and we don't need to go into cap, trouble. That's overrated. You can't keep using that. You just paid Jalen Ramsey even more money to stay in Pittsburgh. You just gave him more money. Why would you do that? Why would you pay someone who has no credibility in your city with your team, but yet you're telling your face of your defense, we'll get you your contract when we want to. Just keep playing defense, keep doing your thing. We'll get to it when we get to it, okay? We'll give you the papers. We'll call your agent. No, I would be on the phone this very minute if I'm the Rooney family going, hey, what do we got to do to get you to stick around? Because what if TJ Watt sits out? Then what do you do? Then you only have Cam Hayward and Jalen Ramsey. As much as that's a solid two-piece to put on your defense, that's not enough to win 10, 11, 12 games, not even enough to win a division. And you're in one of the most toughest divisions in football. Yes, I said one of the toughest divisions. AFC North with Baltimore, with Cincinnati, with Pittsburgh. Those are your top three teams. Obviously, Cleveland is going to go through their quarterback situation. They won't be high on that list. Pittsburgh, what are you doing? Simply get the contract done. This isn't that hard. You cannot afford to let TJ Watt walk anywhere else he goes. You can't afford to trade him. You cannot afford to trade him for a bag of chips and some first-round picks. It is not going to help your team at all. You may sit there and say, well, the potential of those first-round picks and what they could be and how they could help us, yes, but you have already an established star. Do not forget that. Do not. You have him there in your building. Sign him to the contract extension. Get it over with. All right. Do not play around with this. All right. Let's touch on this. Also, Max Crosby from the Las Vegas Raiders, I'm trying to get that right, said in an article, I am the best pass rusher in the league. No one is even close. I'm the best. No question whatsoever. And I'm here to tell you, no, that's not true. As much as I love Max Crosby, his story out of Eastern Michigan, comes into the league, was a low-round pick. worked his way up to get his contract extension, get the max contract extension he got, no pun intended. But I don't see him as the very best pass rusher in this league. Is he top 5? Yes. I 100% agree with that notion. Myles Garrett, to me, is still the best pass rusher in this league until he cannot do it anymore. Then I have TJ Watt. Then I have Aiden Hutchinson. Yes, I said Aiden Hutchinson. I have him ahead of Max Crosby. And then I have Max, and then I have Micah Parsons. That's my top 5 pass rushers in this league right now. Now, obviously, I'm missing Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. I'm missing some other guys as well. But in my eyes, there's no one better than Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is so fierce, so tough. He goes on to the end. He goes inside. He can land up on a guard, on a center, on a tackle, and you have no shot. One-on-one, you have no shot. A double team on Myles Garrett, not enough. Triple team, you might get away with that. But a double team or a single one-on-one with Myles Garrett, forget about it. Tell your quarterback to get rid of that football faster than lightning. It is not going to stay in his hand that long. It should not, okay? And I want to get behind the notion that Max Crosby is the very best. But, again, as I just said, I have Myles Garrett ahead of him. That's just plain simple. Myles has proven it on time and time again on why he's the best pass rusher in the league. It's just that simple. Now, are there guys on the same level with Max Crosby? Yeah. I believe Micah Parsons. I believe Nick Bosa. I believe those two guys are right there with Max Crosby. Just fierce, just strong. Those one-man band type guys on a defense that are doing absolutely everything they can to be the very best pass rushers. They don't have the greatest help around them, so they have to do so much to prove that they are the very best. And I respect that.
I definitely agree with you too. And, to your point with, like, not a lot of guys around them, it's because they're young. I think that we saw that issue with Khalil Mack, as you said. But then you add that veteran presence with, for example, the Rams, who had a young quarterback, Jared Goff. You get Matthew Stafford in the Rams now. You got Cooper Kupp, who's 31 now, 30, one of the two. I don't remember the age off the top of my head. And then they won a Super Bowl. Aaron Donald's got that veteran presence too, and that's the thing too, is like you got a lot of young guys around you, and that's like I think an issue that's the Steelers are dealing with, because they're so young, and you got Aaron Rodgers and not a lot of depth in some other positions. But yeah, I mean it's I agree with you. You can't really do anything until that happens, and I still think that your top 5's right. I agree with you on that as well. But there's also guys on the rise.
Oh,
you gotta think about that.
Absolutely. I got no disagreement with that last statement there. There are guys on the rise, 100%. I think Turner out of Atlanta is going to be one of the best pass rushers in this league one day. Obviously, Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa, some of the young guys already establishing themselves. But also, what goes against Max Crosby? He's in Las Vegas. He's playing for the Raiders. He's not playing for a top-level team. They're not ready to win playoff games at this very moment. Who knows what's going to happen this year? Obviously, the add-in on Ashton Genty with Geno Smith and Pete Carroll. Who knows? Maybe that changes the whole entire era or aura around the Las Vegas Raiders, and maybe they do win this year, and maybe Max Crosby will get the respect he deserves. And I believe he deserves every ounce of respect. He deserves to be in the conversation amongst the very best pass rushers. Is he the best? I just don't think so. I think Myles is ahead of him. All right, last conversation here before we get out of here and take a break. Let's talk about Rodney Harrison, the former safety in the NFL who played for the Los Angeles Chargers and the New England Patriots, won Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, got to a Super Bowl with the LA Chargers when they were in San Diego, lost to the Niners. But to the notion of what I'm bringing him up for is he's going to be selected. He's going to be selected into the Ring of Honor for the LA Chargers this season. They'll have a ceremony for him at halftime during one of their games. They have not announced which game it is, but they're going to put Rodney Harrison in the Ring of Honor, and I think that's very cool. Okay, listen, he is the reason why Sean Taylor, Ryan Clark, and Cam Chancellor were scary in the NFL. People were afraid of those guys. People were not willing to go through the middle of the field because they knew they were going to get their head cut off. I mean, seriously, Sean Taylor did not care. He was going to come hunt you down and take you out. Go watch that Pro Bowl game when he took the punter out. That was just fierce, okay? Ryan Clark, man, he could hit back in his day before you learned how to cover. He just put guys on alert. Seriously. And Cam Chancellor, what more to say? He was, to me, the reason why they were called the Legion of Boom. Okay, it wasn't because Sherman and Thomas were picking you off. No, if you came across the middle and you thought you could challenge with your wide receiver 3 or your tight end, Cam Chancellor was going to remind you why you should throw the ball on the outside and get picked off by Sherman and Thomas, because you were not throwing the ball in the middle of the field. Cam Chancellor did not care. Go back and look at the Super Bowl against the Denver Broncos. He put people on their backs.
Yeah, that one hurt, honestly, as a fan.
Yeah, as a Broncos fan, I know that one hurt for you, Zach. I'm very sorry about that game.
That's okay.
Still to this day, buddy. But my last thing on Rodney Harrison is, unfortunately, he won't be going into the Hall of Fame. Who knows if the Patriots will honor him in the Ring of Honor? Obviously, he won some Super Bowls with them. He was the reason why they had such a good defense in the early 2000s, and why Tom Brady is too. I mean, it helps when you have a defense like that. But is he going to get into the Hall of Fame? Unfortunately not. You know, players like Ricky Waters Steve Atwater, and you know, you got I'm trying to remember the safety from the Niners.
John Lynch? Or not John Lynch, excuse me.
Lynch too. Lynch was a hitter back in his day too. We had him on our program. The name will come back to me. But my point to it is that if it was just based on aura, if it wasn't based on numbers or stats or Pro Bowls, Rodney Harrison would be in the Hall of Fame. He would be in the Hall of Fame for his hitting. He'd be in the Hall of Fame because he was that scary to people. They did not want to challenge him through the middle of the field. That's plain and simple. But the Hall of Fame is based on numbers and based on perception from the media, and Rodney didn't have those. Rodney wasn't liked by the media, really, outside of national media. Maybe he was liked by his local media, but not by the national media. And unfortunately, not enough Pro Bowls, not enough interceptions, not enough tackles, and sometimes that goes against you. But I still believe Rodney Harrison was one of the reasons why the NFL changed its rules too. On hitting, on coverage, on all of that stuff, he's one of the reasons why the game changed. And that is respectable in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, there's also like players that model that game today as well. Derwin James, for example, I think Hufanga, I think, has a couple times.
Yep.
Oh, and by the way, the name you're thinking of is Ronnie Lott.
Yep, Ronnie Lott. There you go.
There you go.
Think of it. Ronnie Lott. We had him on our program. That dude was scary. He could just hit you no matter what. Steve Atwater, man, those guys were hitters back in the day, man. Seriously.
Yeah, they were. And like even linebackers in today's game do as well. Like you remember Patrick Willis doing that?
Yep, I do.
He's a big hitter. Fred Warner's a big hitter.
Yep.
Who else?
Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis was a big hitter.
On your butt too, man. Terrell Suggs had it in him too. Brian Urlacher sometimes. Well, that was mainly Lance Briggs' job. Lance Briggs put you on your back.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, let's take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more NFL. But I created a top 10 list of the best DBs from the 2000s and 2010s. This quarter-century list that we were talking about yesterday got me thinking, who are some of the best names from that era? We're going to talk about that here on the other side of this break, right here on the Down and Dirty on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. How much time do I got? Welcome back to the Down and Dirty. It's not with Scott Mitchell. Today is with Martin Kelly, his producer, and filling in for Scott as he is still across the pond. He's in France with his wife, traveling around, celebrating. He'll be back on Monday after the 4th of July weekend. We'll get back into the regular motion of our show. We'll get some guests on next week. We'll have some new segment buttons and rejoiners and all that stuff. We're gonna spaz up the show with Scott Mitchell when he comes back. Obviously, I thank you everybody for listening. This is the Down and Dirty on ESPN 792.1 FM. Proud to be part of the Utah ESPN Radio Network. If you miss any of this, just just listen to any of your podcast apps, and you can look up the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. You can find the episode from yesterday and today, as it'll be one of the 2 episodes I do. And it'll be a great listen. I promise you that. We talked a lot of fun stuff yesterday. We talked a lot of fun stuff today. We talked about the NBA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander getting his money. We talked about the WNBA expanding to 3 new cities, Caitlin Clark not being respected by the players when amongst all-star voting. But that's going to work out in her favor when she wins a title and she proves all of them wrong on why she's the very best player in this league and should be respected like that. We also talked about the NFL. Is TJ Watt going to get traded? Max Crosby think he's the best pass rusher in the league, and Rodney Harrison going into the Ring of Honor for the LA Chargers. And now let's talk about this. Obviously, we talked about yesterday, if you listened to the show, we talked about the NFL's quarter-century list. They made us a list of the best 53-man roster players to be added to the quarter-century NFL team from the year 2000 to 2025. And when we got to the defensive side, we touched on that with the ESPN The Fan, so go listen to that episode. We touched on the defensive side, and I couldn't get over it. It had me rolling in my bed last night. I couldn't sleep on this. I was like, man, there's just so many more better DBs that were on that list. And they had a great list. Honestly, I'm not even going to completely disagree with the list as they did. They had players like Darrell Revis, Champ Bailey. They had Rondé Barber on that list. I mean, they just had some good names. But they missed some guys. And so I created a top 10 list of the DBs, of the best DBs from 2000 and 2010. In no particular order, I just put a list together, just throwing some names out there going, hey, these guys should have been mentioned as well. And there's some repeat names like Darrell Revis, Champ Bailey, Rondé Barber on this list. Patrick Peterson was on that quarter-century list team as well. But I added some other names. Number 1 on my list, it's Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson, being that he was a Heisman Trophy winner out of Michigan, played for the Oakland Raiders, played for the Green Bay Packers, Super Bowl champion, one of the lockdown corners in the league. He was a guy you did not throw the ball on his side, or unfortunately, he was going to pick it off. That's just plain and simple. Number 2 on my list, Ty Law, one of the most absolute consistent DBs that the New England Patriots had during their Super Bowl runs in the early 2000s. He was a legit reason why they were locked down and gave Indianapolis so much trouble. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Reggie Wayne still stay up at night thinking to themselves, man, if Ty Law was just not guarding me, I could have had a touchdown in that game. We could have won a playoff game against the Patriots. Okay, number 3 on my list, good old Peanut Tillman. Charles Tillman, the Chicago Bears legend, the punch-out Tillman. I mean, seriously, was there a better DB out there who knew how to create fumbles, who just knew how to be annoying to players, to all that type of coverage that he would do all the time in that cover 3 zone that the Bears played a lot in the early 2000s? No, I don't think so. Obviously, I have Darrell Revis. What more to say besides Revis Island? You have Champ Bailey, just absolutely one of the best DBs there ever was in the game, man. Denver had themselves a superstar with that dude. They just had him right there in their very backyard. Obviously, unfortunately, they couldn't get the Super Bowl championship for him, but I guarantee you he was partying with them when they won Super Bowl 50. There's no doubt in my mind on that one. He was having a good time when he watched them win that Super Bowl, and if they gave him an honorary ring, he deserves it. All right, number 6 on my list, Patrick Peterson. What's more to say? He's been one of the face of the DB spots in the 2010s. He was the reason why a lot of teams had a game plan around him a ton of times. Number 7 on my list, Rondé Barber. Very well respected amongst the DBs in the league. Played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Won a Super Bowl as well. Number 8 on my list, Stephon Gilmore. Another guy from the New England Patriots system, won a Super Bowl, multiple Super Bowls, went to Indianapolis, went to Minnesota, showed off his game, went to Dallas. He is absolutely one of the most standard DBs you can think of the modern game as of today. He wasn't even on that list yesterday. I mean, seriously, I don't know what they were doing at ESPN. Number 9 on my list, Antonio Cromartie. I still to this day, I still remember that play that he picked off Peyton Manning. He was 2-3 yards back. Peyton Manning looks to his left. He sees that he's off. He's like, I got him. I'm going to throw it right there. And, man, Antonio Cromartie stretched so far back. It was like watching the Odell Beckham Jr. catch that he had in New York. He stretched so far back, caught that ball, and Peyton Manning, all he could do was just go, are you serious? There's no way he picked that off. And he picked that off. There's no doubt in my mind that Antonio Cromartie should be higher on a list like that. He should have been mentioned on that Century team. And then number 10, Asante Samuel Sr. I still, to this day, I was telling Zach this earlier this morning, I still can see it in my head, watching it on my television, that interception that he almost had in the Super Bowl against the New York Giants before Tyrese caught that ball on the side of his helmet against no other than Rodney Harrison. Speaking of Rodney, we were talking about him earlier on the program. He had it in his hands. All he had to do was come down with it, and the New England Patriots are undefeated Super Bowl champions. They would have been the second team in NFL history to accomplish that. Unfortunately, Asante dropped that ball. It just went right through his hands. It was simple. All he had to do was come down, and it was his, and it just went right through his hands. So that's my top 10 list. Zach, what do you think, man? So these guys, I think about half of these guys should have been on that list. I mean, seriously, I don't know what they were doing with that 20 century list, but some of these guys should have been on it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, Pat Pete's a big one for sure, who just retired last season. Stephon Gilmore is also a big one. I feel like he's kind of fallen off as a name to fans because since he left the Bills and the Patriots, it's just been like Indianapolis. It's been the Cowboys. It's been, I don't even know what team he's on right now.
He was on Minnesota last year.
Yeah, he was on Minnesota last year. I think he's on Dallas this year, isn't he?
I think he went back to Dallas. Yeah. I might be right about that.
But I think an honorable mention would be Richard Sherman.
Yes,
I think that's an honorable mention on this list. Not like a top 10 from what you've created, but he's had a great run with Seattle. He had a great run with San Francisco. So I think that's another honorable mention. But I think you nailed this list.
I think I did too. I mean, it just when I looked at that quarter century list again, I bring it up. I get it. The emphasis on the guys that have been playing from 2015 till now, 2016, 2017, 2018. I respect those guys, but we got to give respect to the guys that played in 2005, 2004, 2006, 2008, 2010, 2002, 2003. I mean, that era should not be forgotten as just one of the slow, eras between the NFL's history. I mean, we saw a lot of guys that were legitimately Hall of Famers. Ty Law's a Hall of Famer. Charles Woodson's a Hall of Famer. Patrick Peterson a Hall of Famer. Stephon Gilmore will be a Hall of Famer. Okay, in my eyes, Charles Tillman should be a Hall of Famer. Antonio Cromartie should be a Hall of Famer. We already know Darrelle Revis will be. We already know Champ Bailey is. I mean, Asante Samuel Sr. didn't have the interception numbers, but still, he was a lockdown corner in those days. These guys were just the guys that you would go to battle with, and it was just that simple. It seriously was. All right, that's going to wrap up our show for this one here. The Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. Obviously, I was filling in with him, Martin Kelly here. I appreciate everybody listening to me the last 2 days. It was a lot of fun to talk to you guys about sports and give you my opinions. Again, if you missed the program, just go download it wherever you get your podcast, The Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. Yesterday's episode and today's episode will be up there as soon as we can. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We're going to pass it on to Sean O'Connell next. It's the Sean O'Connell Show right here on ESPN 792.1 FM. This has been The Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell with Martin Kelly filling in on ESPN 792.1 FM.